Welcome back. We are continuing our journey through what you could call the architecture of the mind, and we're using Genevieve Barron's 1921 text, Your Invisible Power, as our guide. This is our third session together in this series, Classic Mosaic Truth.
It's great to be back. And today we're really getting into a topic that is, I think, probably the single biggest stumbling block for anyone who's trying to make a real lasting change in their life.
And what's that?
It's the gap.
The gap.
The gap, yeah. The gap between thinking about something and actually being it. You know, between having this brilliant idea in the shower and then actually holding the result of that idea in your hands.
Oh, I know that gap. I think everybody listening knows that gap. It's that universal frustration, isn't it? Where you have the vision so clear you can see it in your head, plain as day, but physical reality just doesn't seem to want to cooperate.
It refuses.
You just feel stuck, like you're spinning your wheels in the mud.
Exactly. And the big idea we want to explore today is that this gap, it doesn't exist because you lack some kind of magic power or you're not manifesting hard enough. It's not about magic at all. It's really about architecture.
Architecture.
It's a structural issue, a design problem.
I love that framing. It takes all the blame and the woo-woo stuff out of it. It's not about being a bad manifester. It's about being a bad architect. It moves us from, say, daydreaming to actually building.
Precisely.
So we're diving into Barron's third chapter, which is all about the relationship between what she calls mental form and physical form. And to help us really build this out, we're going to be layering in support from some heavy hitters. We've got Aristotle, Epictetus, and some really fascinating modern cognitive science.
It can be a rich conversation.
I think so, too. And just a quick note before we jump in.
Of course.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
Okay, so where do you start? Let's start with the core concept. Barron uses these two very specific terms, mental form and physical form.
Right. And, you know, in the, let's call it the self-improvement world, you often hear a certain kind of thinking that pushes away the physical.
Oh, definitely. You hear people say things like, oh, the material world, it's all an illusion, or it's too worldly, it's not spiritual to want physical things.
Yes, that idea that to be truly spiritual, you have to sort of reject the material world, as if, you know, wanting a nicer home or a healthy, strong body is somehow a lesser goal than just meditating on a cushion all day.
It's a very common form of what some people call spiritual bypassing. And Barron, even back then, she tackles this head on in this chapter. She says this view is completely fundamentally wrong.
How does she frame it?
She says that the physical world, what she calls material form, it's not an illusion to be escaped from at all. In fact, it's absolutely necessary. She has this really interesting phrase for it. She calls it the polar opposite of spirit.
Polar opposite. That sounds combative, like enemies, you know, fire and ice.
You'd think so, but she means it in a complementary way. Think of a battery. You need a positive pole and a negative pole for the current to actually run. If you only have one of them, you don't have a dead battery, you have no power at all.
Okay, I see. So they're opposites that create a circuit.
Exactly. Barron argues that spirit, or this universal creative energy, it's just limitless potential. But potential, by its very nature, is invisible. It's formless. It can't see itself. It can't experience itself as anything.
It's like having a movie projector that's turned on, but you're just pointing it into an empty room. There's no screen.
That is a perfect analogy. The light from the projector is the spirit, but without the screen, the physical matter, to catch that light, there's no picture. There's just light. Barron's point is that without the physical, the mental has no mirror. The material world is the channel, it's the screen through which spirit gets to recognize itself.
Wow, that's a really profound shift in perspective. It kind of stops you from feeling guilty about wanting to build a business or get in shape or even just organize your garage.
Yeah.
You're saying those physical results aren't just selfish wants, they're actually required for the inner work to be fully expressed, to be made real.
The physical is the proof of the spiritual. The two need each other. So let's get really clear on these definitions so we're all on the same page. First, we have what she calls mental form.
Okay, so in just plain English, what are we talking about here? This is the clear inner picture you hold in your mind, right? The meaning behind it, the intent.
Exactly. Barron calls this the mental blueprint. And that word blueprint is so important. A blueprint isn't just a pretty drawing you look at for fun.
No, it's a set of instructions. A builder uses it to make something real.
It's a set of instructions. It's a mold. She says we create this mental mold, and the universal energy, which she calls the plastic substance of the universe, then flows in and fills it.
Plastic substance. I love that old-fashioned phrasing. It sounds a little bit like something out of a science fiction novel, but she just means it's moldable, right? It's
Yeah.
formless.
Yes, exactly. Plastic in the sense of plasticity. It's malleable. It'll take the shape of whatever container you provide for it. So if you provide a square mold, you get a square brick. You provide a round mold, you get a sphere. The substance itself doesn't have a preference. It just fills the form you give it.
So the mental form is the container. It's the mold we build with our focused thought, which of course brings us to the second half of the equation, the physical form.
And this right here is where the rubber meets the road for so many of us.
So again, in plain English, this is your choices, your words, your daily habits, your actions. It's what you actually do.
Correct. Barron describes this as the channel. Imagine a pipe that's meant to carry water from a reservoir to a garden. The water is the energy, the intent from your mental picture. But the pipe itself, that's your physical form.
And if the pipe is broken, or it's clogged up with junk, or it's just pointed in the completely wrong direction,
Then it doesn't matter how much water pressure you have in the reservoir. It doesn't matter how powerful your mental intent is. The water won't get where it needs to go. Your physical actions are what carry the intent of the mental picture into your reality.
so if the mental form is the architect's blueprint, then the physical form is the construction crew.
Yes, that's it.
You can have the most beautiful, detailed blueprints in the world, but if the construction crew decides to stay on a lunch break forever, nothing ever gets built.
A perfect analogy. And this brings us directly to the core of the problem, why people get stuck. We've gone through the source material and identified 4 specific traps that Barron and our other sources really warn us about.
These are the reasons why you might have a brilliant blueprint, but you're still looking at an empty lot.
Precisely. Let's unpack them one by one.
Okay, let's do it. Trap number 1, treating the picture like entertainment.
This is a huge one, and it connects so directly to some modern research by a psychologist named Gabrielle Oettingen. She studied something she called positive fantasy.
This is what you were talking about earlier, the warm fuzzies effect.
It is, yes. Ottingen's research found that when people just sit and fantasize about a positive outcome, like, getting that big promotion or acing an exam, their blood pressure actually drops. They feel more relaxed. Their brain releases some of the same chemicals it would if they'd actually achieved the goal.
So they feel accomplished,
Yes,
but they haven't actually done anything. They're still just sitting on the couch imagining it.
exactly. And that is the trap. The brain gets tricked into thinking the work is already done because you've given it the emotional reward of the result without any of the effort. The tension required for action just dissolves.
That's fascinating.
Ah!
And dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
Barron warns against this very thing. If you're using your visualization just to escape from your current reality and feel good for a few minutes, you're using it like a drug. You're using it as entertainment, not as a blueprint. There's no real intent to manifest because you've already satisfied the craving.
You're sedating yourself with your own dreams. That's a scary thought. You're using the vision to check out of your life instead of using it as a map to check in more deeply.
You are. And this leads right into the second trap because they're very closely related. Trap number 2 is skipping the proof actions.
This is the belief that just thinking is enough. The whole, I visualized it, so my job is done. The universe is going to deliver it to my door like a pizza.
Right. And this is where we need to bring in Aristotle. He was so clear on this. He had this core concept of habituation. He famously said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit.
So you don't become a brave person by just thinking brave thoughts.
No. You become brave by doing brave things, especially when you don't feel like it. You habituate yourself to courage.
And Barron's take on this is that we must use the vehicle of matter.
Yes, she is incredibly practical. She says if you want a more orderly room, you don't just close your eyes and imagine perfect order. You visualize the specific things, the boxes, the hooks, the shelves. And then, and this is the part people miss, you have to physically interact with those things. You have to pick up the book and put it on the shelf. You have to provide the physical vehicle for the mental form of order to manifest.
If you skip the action, you've broken the channel. The water can't flow.
You have a blueprint and a reservoir full of water, but no pipes. It's like trying to drive a car with no wheels. The engine can be revving like crazy, but you're not going anywhere.
Okay, that's clear. So, trap number 3, switching pictures too often.
Barron is so explicit about this. She warns that this is absolutely fatal to the process.
She uses a gardening analogy for this one, doesn't she?
She does, and it's perfect. Imagine you go out into your garden and you plant a seed. Let's say it's a tomato seed. You give it some water, you're excited. Then the next day, you come out, you get impatient, and you say, you know what, I think I'd rather have a cucumber. So you dig up the tomato seed and you plant a cucumber seed.
And then the next day you decide you want peppers.
Right. And the day after that, maybe it's zucchini. What are you going to get from that garden?
You're never going to get any vegetables. You're just going to have a patch of disturbed, messy dirt.
You're going to get a mess. And Barron says this creates what she calls antagonistic elements. When you're constantly switching your mental form, you're sending a stream of contradictory instructions to that plastic substance. The universe, or your subconscious mind, it doesn't know what mold to fill because you keep smashing the old one and handing it a new one every day.
That is so relatable. Today we call it shiny object syndrome. But it's the exact same principle. We don't stick with one blueprint long enough for the foundation to even set. We get bored, or maybe we get scared of the commitment, and we just change the entire plan.
Precisely. Which brings us to the final one, which might be the most insidious of all. Trap number 4, contradiction.
This one feels like the most common. I see it everywhere. This is when you're holding a mental picture of, say, success, but then you walk around all day speaking words of failure or acting out of fear.
It's the ultimate form of self-sabotage. It's the architectural equivalent of having a construction crew that builds a wall all day and then a demolition crew that comes and knocks it down every night.
And you're paying both crews.
You are. Barron insists that your language, your tone of voice, your posture, your behavior, it all has to match the internal picture. You have to remove the contradiction. If you're visualizing vibrant health, but you spend your lunch break complaining to your coworkers about how tired you are and how your back always hurts, you're canceling out your own work.
You're splitting your energy. You're holding two blueprints at the same time. You're telling the universe two different stories. I am healthy with your mind, and I am sick with your mouth.
You are creating a divided house. And we all know what happens to a house divided against itself.
It cannot stand. Okay, so those are the 4 traps. Treating the picture like entertainment, skipping the actions, switching the picture all the time, and contradiction. It's a little bit depressing when you list them out like that, because I think we're all guilty of at least one of them.
Most of us are guilty of all of them at different times.
But the good news is there is a way out. There's a solution.
There is always a way out. There's a bridge.
Right. Let's talk about that bridge. How do we build it to get from the mental side to the physical side? We've identified 5 pillars in alignment based on the source material.
And these pillars are designed to get your entire system, your mind, your body, your speech, your environment, all moving in the same direction. It's about creating a single, coherent signal.
Okay, pillar 1 is the picture itself.
And the key word here is detail, specificity. Barron uses that great example of wanting a more orderly room. She points out that you don't just hold a vague idea of order. That's too abstract. Your mind doesn't know what to do with that.
You have to visualize the specific tools of order. The boxes, the hooks, the closets. You see the actual layout of the finished room.
Exactly. You visualize the specific solution. If your goal is financial abundance, don't just visualize a giant cartoon pile of money. That doesn't help.
Oh.
Visualize the specific revenue stream. See the email in your inbox from a new client. See the product you've created on a shelf. Make the blueprint buildable.
Got it. Specificity creates traction. If you just give a builder a vague sketch on a napkin, they can't build you a house. They need the dimensions, the materials, the floor plan.
Precisely. Which leads to pillar 2, feeling. And this is where we get into some really cool modern science that supports what Barron was talking about a century ago. It's a field called embodied cognition.
That sounds a bit academic. Can you break that down for us?
Well, there's a famous method of acting training developed by a man named Michael Chekhov. He was the nephew of the famous playwright. He developed what he called psychological gestures. He found that if an actor physically performed a certain kind of movement, their internal emotional state would follow.
So, for example?
For example, if he had them expand their body, opening their chest, spreading their arms wide, lifting their chin, they would almost instantly report feeling a sense of power, ease, and confidence.
So the body is actually telling the mind what to feel, not just the other way around.
Exactly. And if he had them do the opposite, if they contracted or curled up into a ball, they would feel fear, smallness, even depression. The body leads the mind into the feeling state. So pillar 2 is about making sure your physical body feels the reality of the wish fulfilled.
So if your mental picture is one of confidence, but your physical posture is slumped over and protective, you've got a major contradiction.
A huge contradiction. You need to physically embody the feeling of the result. Stand like the person in your mental picture would stand. Breathe the way they would breathe. Walk down the street the way they would walk.
You're signaling to your own nervous system that this new reality is safe and, more importantly, that it's current. You're bridging that gap with your own biology.
Yes. And that leads perfectly into pillar 3, which is language.
Okay, language.
This connects to a concept in modern psychology called implementation intentions, which are often framed as if-then plans. But in Barron's more foundational context, it's really about how we speak about our desires, both to ourselves and to others.
And the big shift here is moving from I hope to I am.
Yes. I hope, or I want, or I'm trying. All of those phrases imply doubt. They imply that the result is far away, outside of you. They imply that you're waiting for some outside permission.
Whereas I am implies presence,
Yeah.
implies ownership, it's a statement of fact.
It is, but it's also about what you stop saying. It's about that trap of contradiction. You need to start auditing your own speech. Are you speaking as if the blueprint is being actively built, or are you speaking as if the project has been abandoned and you're just complaining about the mess?
That's a tough audit to do. Complaining is such a social habit for a lot of us.
It is, but every complaint about your current situation is like a brick you're taking out of the new wall you're trying to build.
Okay. Pillar 4 is action. And we're back with our friend Aristotle here.
Yes, specifically his concept of prohairesis. It's a Greek word that's a bit hard to translate, but it means something like reasoned choice or moral will. It's the conscious decision to act in alignment with your highest values.
And in our context, that means doing the small, physical things that a person who is already living that mental form would do, naturally.
Exactly. And I love that you emphasized small. This isn't about making some huge dramatic leap on day one. In fact, that kind of frantic, big action often comes from a place of fear and desperation.
Like, I have to fix this right now.
Yes. What we're talking about is the steady, logical, obvious next step. If your mental form is, I am a runner, the physical form today isn't running a marathon. It's putting your running shoes by the front door. It's walking for 10 minutes. It's a small action that proves the new identity.
I like that phrase, proof actions. You're literally proving to yourself through physical evidence that the mental picture is real and in process.
Yes. And finally, that brings us to the 5th and final pillar, environment design.
This is one of my favorites because it feels like it takes some of the pressure off of pure willpower.
It's so powerful and it's so often overlooked. You need to consciously change your physical space so that it triggers and supports the new mental form. If you're trying to eat healthier, but your kitchen counter is covered in junk food, you are fighting a constant losing war against your own environment every single day.
You're making willpower do all the heavy lifting. And we all know that willpower gets tired.
Willpower is a finite resource. It fatigues. Environment design is about making the desired choice the easy, obvious choice. It's about arranging your physical world so that it constantly reflects the mental blueprint you're holding.
So if you want to write a book, you set up a dedicated, clean writing desk. If you want to remember to stretch, you leave the yoga mat unrolled on the floor.
You make the path of least resistance lead to your goal, not away from it.
Okay, so we have the 5 pillars: picture, feeling, language, action, and environment. This is a great framework. Let's make it even more concrete. We've prepared 3 real-world examples to show how this architecture works in everyday life. Let's start with a common one, work.
All right. So let's say your desire, your mental form, is to have a successful, fulfilling career in a creative field. Maybe you want to be a writer, a musician, designer, something like that.
The common trap here would be just daydreaming about winning awards or being famous, right?
Right. Or just sort of passively waiting for inspiration to strike. That's falling right into that entertainment trap we talked about. The applied architectural approach, using our pillars, starts with a very specific mental form, a finished project.
Not the applause, but the thing itself.
Exactly. You visualize the completed manuscript with your name on it. You see the fully functional website you designed. You hear the finished song. You focus on the product, the tangible result of your skill.
And the physical form, what does the construction crew do?
The physical form is the discipline of sitting down and shipping small improvements day after day. It is pure Aristotle. It is doing the work even when, especially when it feels hard or you're not in the mood. It's the daily habit of writing 500 words or coding for an hour or practicing your scales, regardless of how you feel that day.
So the mental form provides the why and the what, and the physical form provides the daily momentum.
You've got it. And the environment pillar here might be something like clearing your desk of all distractions, turning off your phone and putting it in another room, and having all your research materials organized and ready to go before you start. You are building a physical container for the work to happen in.
I love that. Let's move to the next one. Example 2, relationships. This one feels trickier to people, I think, because it involves other human beings with their own free will.
It does, but the work we're talking about is still 100% internal to you. So let's say the goal is a more loving, peaceful partnership or marriage.
Okay, so the mental form.
Mm.
Is it picturing a romantic movie scene, a perfect vacation?
It could be, but it's more powerful if it's a picture of yourself. It's seeing yourself as a calm, loving, responsive partner. It's a mental image of you handling a difficult conversation with grace. It's seeing the relationship itself as a source of mutual support and safety, not stress and conflict.
Okay, so the picture is about how you show up. What's the physical form then?
This is where we bring in the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He talked a lot about guarding the heart, or more accurately, guarding your mind and your judgments. In a relationship, the physical form is often the pause. It is the chosen response, not the reactive one.
So when your partner says something that, irritates you or pushes your buttons.
The old physical form might be to instantly snap back with a sarcastic comment, or roll your eyes, or withdraw into stony silence.
The new physical form, the one that matches the blueprint, is to take a breath.
Yes, it is to physically relax your body, consciously dropping your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, and then choosing a response that matches that mental picture of a loving partner. You are physically repairing the dynamic in real time through your own self-control.
That's incredibly powerful. It takes it out of that helpless realm of, I wish they would just change, and puts it squarely back into, how am I choosing to show up right now?
Precisely. You are being the architect of the dynamic you want, starting with your own actions.
Okay, fantastic. Let's do our third example, habits. Let's use a classic, like the goal of getting healthy.
Perfect. This is the ultimate testing ground for this whole concept of mental and physical form. The mental form is the identity. It's a clear picture of yourself as I am a healthy, energetic person. I respect my body and give it what it needs.
And the trap here is almost always waiting to feel motivated every single day.
Always. Motivation is a feeling. It's fickle. It comes and it goes. The goal is to replace that drift, that reliance on feeling, with a stable daily practice. So the physical form here is the ritual. It's the non-negotiable act of putting on the gym clothes.
Even if you don't go to the gym.
Even if you just put them on and take them off, it's the act of prepping the healthy meal. It's the act of filling the water bottle. It's the proof action that we talked about.
You're proving the identity.
Yes. And here is the absolute key. You perform the action regardless of the presence or absence of motivation. You let the mental form, the identity, drive the bus. You say to yourself, because I am a healthy person, mental form, this is what I do, physical form. And over time, through that Aristotelian habituation, the action becomes effortless. It just becomes who you are.
I love how clear and practical this all is. It really demystifies the whole process. Now, I want to help everyone listening put this into practice immediately right now. We designed a short guided exercise we're calling the Blueprint to Proof Practice.
This is a simple sequence you can do right now as you listen or right after we finish. It only takes a few minutes, but it is designed to align all 5 of the pillars we just discussed.
Okay, I'm going to walk us through this step by step. If you're driving or something, just listen along and do it in your head. If you're able to, you might want to grab a pen and paper.
Let's do it.
Okay. Step 1. Choose one desire, just one, and turn it into one simple finished scene. Don't pick 10 things you want to change. Just pick one. What does it look like, sound like, feel like when it is already done? See the boxes on the shelf, see the email in your inbox, see the number on the scale, see the result.
And make it a still image, a single clear snapshot of the goal achieved.
Good tip. Okay.
Yeah.
Step 2. Name the primary feeling that matches that scene. If you were looking at that finished scene, what would you feel? Is it relief? Is it pride? Is it a deep sense of calm? Is it excitement? Find the one word that captures that feeling.
Let yourself really feel that for a moment.
Step 3. Choose one phrase you will speak today that matches the scene and the feeling. This is your affirmation. And you're going to change I hope to I am. Make it present tense. I am so relieved that my office is organized. I am proud of the work I delivered.
A statement of current fact.
Step 4. Choose one action today that proves the scene. What is one small physical thing you can do? A single phone call, one email, 10 push-ups, clearing off one corner of your desk. What is one proof action that the person living in that finished scene would do?
It should be small enough that you can't fail.
Exactly. Step 5. Change one part of your environment to support that action. Put the book you want to read on your pillow. Put your water bottle on your desk right now. Close the distracting tabs on your computer. Set the stage for success.
Make the right thing the easy thing to do.
And finally, step 6. Remove one contradiction that would cancel out your practice today. Decide that you will not complain about this specific problem for the rest of the day. Choose not to hang out with the person who drains your energy. Unfollow the social media account that makes you feel bad about yourself.
That's a complete architectural loop. In just those few steps, you have the blueprint, the feeling, the language, the proof action, the supportive environment, and you've protected it all by removing a contradiction.
If a person just did that simple practice for one goal every single day for 30 days, I cannot imagine how their life wouldn't change.
It would have to. It's just cause and effect. It is, as Barron would say, law.
Okay, so before we wrap all this up, let's do a little troubleshooting. People are going to try this and they're going to run into problems. We've identified 5 common mistakes people make when they try to apply this model.
Let's go through them.
Mistake number 1, waiting to feel ready or motivated.
We've touched on this, but it is so important it bears repeating. You will almost never feel ready to do something new and challenging. The fix is to stop waiting for the feeling and use embodied cognition. Act to generate the feeling. Stand up taller, move your body, take the first step. The feeling of readiness follows the action, it doesn't precede it.
I love that. Mistake 2, focusing on the how too early.
This is the classic paralysis by analysis. You get excited about the result, but then you try to map out every single step from A to Z, and you get overwhelmed by the complexity, and so you do nothing.
Because you can't see step 27, you don't take step 1.
Exactly. The fix is to focus only on 2 things. The what, your clear mental form, and the next immediate step, your first physical form proof action. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Just focus on the step right in front of you.
Excellent advice. Mistake number 3, seeking validation from others.
Barron is very, very strict about this. She advises secrecy, especially in the early stages, not because it's some kind of mystical secret society, but for a very practical reason.
Which is?
To maintain the potency of the seed. When you talk about your plans and your big dreams too much, you dissipate the creative energy, you get that warm, fuzzy feeling of validation just from the conversation, and it reduces your drive to do the actual work.
So you're getting the emotional reward again without the effort.
Exactly. Keep it to yourself, let the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, good one. Mistake number 4, perfectionism in the physical form.
This creates so much unnecessary shame and quitting. You know, you miss one day at the gym, or you eat one cookie when you're on a diet, and you think, well, that's it. I've ruined the whole blueprint. I have to start over from scratch.
Or more likely, I'll start again next Monday.
Right. The fix is to accept that the physical is a process of becoming. It is not an instant magic trick. Aristotle's habituation takes time and repetition. There will be missteps. Just get back on track with the next choice. Be gentle with the process.
That's a big one. And finally, mistake number 5, letting your current reality dictate your mental form.
This is probably the hardest one of all. You look at your empty bank account, or the number on the scale, or your messy house, and you let that physical evidence overwrite your mental blueprint. You say, well, the reality is X, so I can't possibly think Y.
You let the problem define the limits of the solution.
Yes. And the fix is to remember the order of operations. Mental form must precede physical evidence. It does not follow it. You are the architect. The blueprint always comes before the building.
You don't stand in an empty lot and look at the dirt and say, well, there's no house here, so I guess I can't draw a blueprint for one.
Exactly. You draw the blueprint because the lot is empty.
That is a perfect place to begin our recap. We have covered a huge amount of ground today. Let's try and boil this all down to the absolute essentials.
Let's do it. It's a great way to solidify the structure.
Okay, first, remember that the mental form is your blueprint. The physical form is the proof that it's being built.
Next, and this is crucial, understand that matter is necessary for spirit to express itself. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to create in the physical world.
Also, a big one. Do not treat your visualization as entertainment. It's serious work. It's not an escape.
And remember to avoid contradicting your mental picture with your words and actions. You can't build a wall and knock it down at the same time.
In addition to that, you need to align your physical environment with your goal. Make your space work for you, not against you.
And maybe most importantly, take those small proof actions every single day. Momentum is built on consistency, not intensity.
And finally, keep your mental picture steady and unchanged. Give the seed time to grow. Don't keep digging it up.
That's the mosaic. That's the core of it, the blueprint and the build working together.
This has been a massive conversation,
Hmm.
and it sets us up perfectly for our next session. In episode 4, we're going to get into the engine room, so to speak. We're going to talk about how the mental picture actually operates.
Yes, this is where we get into the mechanics. We're going to discuss the specific mechanism of how that mental picture you're holding interacts with that universal intelligence, that plastic substance. We're moving from architecture into engineering.
I cannot wait for that one. Thank you again for this.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.